Hello everyone, welcome back to Cyberwhale. And as we have covered the topic about the day one part two in the previous video, which was covering the career paths as well as setting up the hacking lab and how and from where to install Kali Linux as well as the essential tools according to your requirements and the choice of your career path. So for this particular session, we are going to move on ahead with the day two content. Day two content is going to comprise of several things that are really very important and the basic necessities one should learn and know about when he or she is starting with the cybersecurity roadmap, and that is basically the Linux and the networking essentials. Networking, okay, just give me a second. Essentials. And now you might be thinking what comes under the subtopics and what are the subtopics that we need to cover under this particular session. That is going to be about the Linux commands. Linux commands means very basic, very basic means, guys, very basic, because we have already covered up in the CHP13 some hi-fi commands as well for the Linux, but for this session, as it is a it is a cybersecurity roadmap and the basic for the beginners, so I'm not going to make it really tough for you guys, and I'll be just using and showing you up here the very basic commands that you can learn and that you can understand from this session. Moving on further, we'll be understanding about the networking protocols, or you can say networking basics, which are going to be like you can say DNS, HTTP. What is DNS, what is HTTP, and then coming into the OSI model as well as the TCP IP. What are TCP IP? We are going to learn all over in this particular session only. And as I have already told you that a roadmap to cybersecurity for the beginners is going to cover up most of the theoretical part rather than the, you can say what, practical hands-on session, but I'll try my best to show you some hands-on as well so that you won't lose interest. But before you are going on directly hanging on to the practical session, learn the theoretical part of these basic things, because these are the necessities, these are really important. So moving on further, without wasting time, let's just start with the first topic of our today's session, that is Linux commands, which are the basic commands, yeah. For the first, what we are going to learn is, let's just say firstly, we whatever we search for in the Linux commands, what we do is we check the CD directory. That is CD means to change the directory. Let's say you are in a home directory and you want to go get into the tools directory. So what you will do is, to move on from this CD home to CD tools directory, you will just use the command CD tools according to the use the mnemonics according to the requirements, guys. Let's say if your tools is stored in your home directory as capital T, then use capital T, and if it is like small t, then use small t. If it is tool, then only use tool, do not use tools, as it won't get you to the main directory where you want to. So moving on further, we can use the ls command. Ls command is basically for the listing of the tools, listing of the things that are present into the particular directory. Like let's say in the tools directory, let's just take an example. Let me write it down here. Let's say it is a tools directory. It is my tools. Okay. It is my tools directory, and inside of this tools directory, I have several things that are like, okay, just give me a second. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah. In this particular tools directory, I have some of my tools, like you can say sublister, or you can say my aircrack ng, or you can say I have in here my, what we can say, which tool. I have several list of tools, but I'm getting confused which to use, which to tell you about here. Or you can say I have sublister AMS, um, nuclei templates, or you can say I have over here is which one tool? I have several tools that I basically use. ReckonFT, W. These are some of the tools that are present inside my tools directory, but Now how would I get to know? It's not like always na guys that I'll just get into the desktop tab and I'll just see that yeah, I'll just click on the tools tab and I can see the tools present over there. If sometimes you do not have the GUI layout and we just get the command lines, so to know and to check in the command through the help of the command line tool, what I'm going to do is after entering the CD tools, I'll just enter a command ls and it will list out all the tools present in that particular or any particular directory, files or the tools, whatever it is having. It will just show me up that these are the list present, this is the list present over inside the particular directory. So moving on further, I'll just write it down here. Next to a command that we can use in the Linux basic command is pwd. Pwd is the present working directory. Present working directory. That means in which present directory I am working on, or in which directory I am currently present. That let's just say I'll just write it down, which present directory I am in. That is what pwd is. And if you want to change the password of your Kali Linux, what you can use is passwd na. I guess this is the, if I'm not wrong, it is the PSWD. Nah, yeah, I was right. Passwd is for the changing of the password. If you want to change the current password of your Kali Linux, you can change using this. And for then, after that, to create a directory, we are going to use a command that is mkdir, that is make directory. So with the help of this, okay, with the help of this command, you can create a directory, and how you are going to use this command is mkdir, and then you are going to give a specific name to your directory that I want to create the name of this, I want to create you can say I want to create this particular directory with this name. Let's just say I want to create cyberwhale. So I'll give it this way, that I want to create a directory which is named as cyberwhale, and after clicking on enter, your what do we say it, your directory will be created. And if you want to remove the directory from that particular directory or file, what you can do is you can just use rf, or you can just directly use rm and then give the name of that particular directory, cyberwhale. Like I want to delete this, so I'll just use it rm cyberwhale, and then you can just enter it, and your directory, or you can say your directory, will be removed from particular session or particular tab. And that's how these are the basic Linux command that a one person should know about. And basic cybersecurity needed commands are these. And you can also search for a list of cybersecurity Linux commands. I'll just show you if I'll be able to, if I remember it. Linux basic Linux commands, basic Linux commands list. Yeah, let me just see if I'll be able to. Top, there are several, you can see there are several, you can see, check the images, or you can just click on the 50 plus Linux commands you must know. And that's how you can get to know about the basic Linux commands for beginners. Let's just see if this is opening or not. Just give it a shot. Yeah, let's just see if there, it is not showing me over here, but a brief history lesson, opening a terminal, hidden files, command line, the super user. There is not a tutorial present for this particular, but yeah, you can just go for and hope for some else. Let me just show you. 25 basic Linux commands for beginners. Yeah, you can check for the geeks as well to learn. Look, as I told, ls command is Linux is to display the information about files in the current directory. I told you the same. Pwd is the current working directory, as I stated the same. mkdir is to create a directory. cd is to navigate between different folders and directories. rmdir is to remove the empty directories from the directory list. If there are several directory lists which are completely empty, so you can just remove it using this particular command. And cp is to copy files, and mv is to move the files guys, or rename and replace the files. rm is to delete files. RMDIR is basically to remove the empty directories, whereas RM is just to delete the files. And uname is to get the command to get the basic information about that particular OS, and locate command is to locate the file in the database. Touch command is to create empty files. Touch command we basically use to create empty files inside the directories. Let's say if I created a cyber whale as a my directory mkdir. Let's just take an example. Let's just say here I created mkdir cyber whale. After creating this, I'll just do cd cyber whale, and it will just take me to the cyber whale directory. And after that, I wanted to create a file named as YouTube inside it. So what I'll do, I'll just give it a touch and then YouTube, and it will just create me a file name inside my cyber whale directory, that is YouTube. And that's how things works for creating files and inside a file directory, and file inside a directory. And then man command is to for the manual of the particular Linux command for that particular. Clear command is to clear the terminal. Grep echo command is to print string or text to the terminal. And that's how you can see. And who am I is basically to display the current user's name. I'll show you the you can say what practical hands-on in the upcoming session. Just bear with it for now, because these are the basic things you should learn first, then you can understand and then you can implement them. So that's it for the Linux commands. Moving on further, we'll be discussing about the networking basics. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah, networking basics, where we are going to learn about the DNS, HTTP, OSI model as well as the TCP IP model. So I'll just hop on and directly write on for the DNS first. As the DNS suggests itself, DNS stands for domain name system. Domain name system. Firstly, you should know the full form of the DNS. DNS stands for domain name system, as it's stating domain name system means the names of a particular domain. Let's just say you're using a YouTube. YouTube is basically what? YouTube is a domain name for a particular web app. Let's just write it down here. DNS domain name system here. YouTube.com is what? A domain name for the web app, right guys? If youtube.com is the domain name for the web app, then how do my computer know to work? Because computers don't actually understand the human understandable language, na? Human readable what do we say, human readable languages. Computer don't understand it. So what does the DNS do is DNS translates. DNS do what? DNS translate these human readable domain names like www.youtube. Okay, just give me a second. youtube.com, or you can say www.example.com. What are these? These are human readable domain names. DNS system do what is that these they translate this domain name system translate these human readable domain names into the computer understandable language. Understandable yeah, name, that is into the IP addresses. So I guess this is understand that they translate these domain names into the IP addresses for the better understanding of the computers, because computer don't understand, or these machine languages, these machines do not understand our human languages. That's why they transform into the machine understandable language. So that's how DNS works. DNS basically just do is translate that domain into the IP address. That is the task of the DNS. I hope it is clear and you guys have got a hold about what is domain name system. Let's just say let's just take an example as well for your better understanding. Yeah, let's just say this is a youtube.com, and in this youtube.com, this is a domain name. This is what basically domain name. Now, what does the DNS do is, yeah, let me write that. DNS, when it works over the internet, what does it do is it reaches to a DNS, particular DNS of of the browser, and then what does the DNS do is it changes it into the IP address. IP address. Let's say the IP address is something like 192.134.56.09. Let's just say it as anything like that. I'm just taking a random IP address. It's not a particular IP address of the YouTube, guys. So don't just think about that she just told us wrong IP address. It's not like that. It's just for the educational purpose. It's a disclaimer back again and again that it's just for the educational purpose. Do not use it for any kind of malicious intent, and just use it for the education purpose and the study purpose. Moving on further, I guess guys have got a hold of DNS. What is the in the networking basics, you have got a hold what is domain name system and why do we basically need the domain name system. Moving on further, we have is a second networking basic that we are going to discuss is about the HTTP. HTTP stands for hypertext, just give me a second, hypertext transmission. I guess it is, yeah, hypertext transfer, transmission or transfer, it is almost different, but you should always know transfer, hypertext transfer protocol, which is basically used, or which is basically stated to be used for transferring hypertext or web pages over the internet. Used for transferring hypertext, that is known to be the web pages on the web apps over the internet. As we say, let's say, just when we move on to the YouTube, what we basically see is we see that there is a dashboard of a YouTube na, that is basically a web app. That YouTube is a web app, but when we click on any kind of video of that particular, it take us to the different web page. It take us to the different page. That means that is the kind of web page, and HTTP is transferring the data that this person wants to move on to this particular web page, and that's how the internet works. When we are clicking on any kind of web app, there are several things on that particular web app, and when we click on any particular web app's page, it is moving us ahead to that particular page, and that's how transmission of data or the pages is told towards the internet, and that's how internet works. I guess HTTP is clear to you guys, and you have got to understand what is the basic necessity of HTTP while we understand how things or network works. And moving on further, we have is third thing, that is TCP or IP, or let's just move on with the OSI first. OSI model is because important, and in the OSI model, OSI stands for, first of all, OSI stands for system open system interconnection model. OSI model stands for open system interconnection model. It is a kind of model which basically tells us, or which basically implements the thing over the internet, which basically implements the model over the internet. But it is theoretical. Yeah. It is not a practical kind of things, guys. That is the practical thing that is implemented is the TCP/IP model over the internet, but it is a kind of model which shows that how things work in a theoretical way, and that's how we get to know OSI model doesn't work over the internet. It is not a implemented part of the internet. It is basically the TCP/IP model that is used over uh, the web pages and the web apps. Its OSI model is just a theoretical concept, theory part. So moving on further, we'll be discussing about the seven layers of the OSI model. As you guys might already know that OSI model has 7 layers, and what these 7 layers basically do is, and what are the things that are particularly needed for it. We're going to discuss everything about OSI model. Firstly, real world model is TCP/IP model, and the theory part model is the OSI model. I'm again repeating it because there is always a confusion that people don't understand, and people think that OSI model is something that is used over the real world scenarios into the web apps or web pages. But this is just a rumor, or you can say this is just a myth that OSI model is used. OSI model is a theory part, and real world model is the TCP/IP model. So moving on further, we'll be discussing about the seven layers of the OSI model. What are the 7 layers of the OSI model? We are going to start from the seventh, and then we'll be reaching to the first. Seventh is first of all the application layer, and we'll be discussing one by one. Firstly, I'll be just writing and stepping down from 7 to 1. Firstly, seventh is application model, then comes the presentation layer. Application layer, and then comes the presentation layer. Then comes the fifth. If we talk about the fifth layer is the session. So just give me a second. Session layer. Then comes the fourth one is, you can say, the transport layer. Then comes the third, that is network layer. And if we talk about the second layer, that is data link layer. And then first one is the physical layer. Yeah. Now you might be thinking how these work and what are the basic necessities and what are the basic requirements of these particular application layers or presentation layers or layers present over onto the OSI model, right? So firstly, we'll discuss about the application layer. Application layer do is what, guys? Application layer processes the network process to the application. That means when okay, let me start with the physical layer itself, because you guys might get confused, because that's how I work and manage things. 7 layers of OSI model. Yeah. Firstly, let me just start with the physical layer. Physical layer is kind of media, signal, and binary transmission. That we'll firstly media. Let me write it down. Media, signal, and binary transmission. That means when when we connect our internet through something. Let's just say I connected my mobile phone with a wire to my laptop. I connected it. That means the data is transmitting from what particular is, it is getting transmitted now. It is transmitting my data from my mobile to my laptop, or you can say from my laptop to my mobile. That is what physically working. That is not using any kind of internet over here. That's what physical layer does do sorry do sorry guys, my pronunciation is getting way more worse, right? I don't know why. Yeah, that's how physical layer works. When I need to transmit some kind of binary data or media throughout with the help of any kind of physical means. That's how physical layer works. Moving on further, we have is data link. Data link do is physical addressing. When we want to, just give me a second. Yeah, physical addressing means I am connecting my data with the any kind of physical modes, or I am addressing that this is particularly my system or my data, and that's how the data link works. It is addressing my physical system, that is, it is addressing my laptop. It is giving a MAC address. You can say MAC address could be stated as what yeah, physical structure. Ethernet, if it is connected to Ethernet, it will show that a MAC address of this is particularly this, and that is what Ethernet is working on. Then moving on further, we comes up to the network part. And network part do is what? Network path is a path determined for the logical addressing. Path determined for the what logical addressing. You might be thinking now, logical addressing is a kind of IP address, guys. IP addressing. That means when if my system is connected to Ethernet, what will happen is my internet, I have internet connectivity, and if my system is having internet connectivity, it will show me a path to determined it will show me a determined path to transmit my data using IP address. It will assign my system an IP address. I hope it is also clear. I'll also show an example to you guys. Don't worry if you are getting a bit confused with my like explanation. I'll just give you an example as well. Then comes the transport layer. What transport layer do is it shows an end-to-end connection and it provides reliability. End-to-end connection, you might be thinking now, end-to-end connection. End-to-end connection is a kind of connection from that means connection from one end to another end. That I mean, I want to transfer my data from this particular, from my particular system to your system. That's how transport layer works. It means transport, as the word itself is suggesting, na guys. Transport means to transfer data, to transmit the data. That is, and it is reliable, and it also gives us the reliability that yes, the data is being transmitted from one particular IP address to another particular IP address, because network layer have already assigned my system you can say an IP address, while I uh, connected to the ethernet, or physical addressing is after the physical addressing is done. Then we move on further to the session layer, and session layer do is what, the task of the session layer is to interhost communication. Interhost communication, that means while I am on any kind of web app, this creates an interhost communication. This creates a session over that particular web app when I logged in, because it will show that yes, this IP address is logged in onto this particular web app, and a session is created. When I log out, the session will be deleted and my IP address will be assigned to some other you can say some other system or some other application. That's how things work. And moving on further, if we discuss about the presentation layer, then presentation layer is a kind of data representation. Data representation, that how the data will be represented. Representation, yeah, how the data will be represented in front of a user while on the web app or something like that. And it also provides the encryption so that the data won't be hindered with the any kind of malicious intent, and it won't be, you can say, it won't be affected by if a man in the middle, or you can say attacker or a hacker. And then coming on to the application layer, network process to application. That means all of this particular task that we have checked and we have done will be implemented to an application. Network will process the whole task to the application. Understood? That means it will show us the application after that, that yes, this is how our working is done and this is how our application looks like. So this is all for the 7 layers of OSI model. And now I'll explain you with the help of example. Let's just say this is a physical, this is my system, I want to connect it, I want to send or transfer a media from my mobile phone. What I'll do, I'll use a cable na guys, I'll use a cable of my mobile phone to connect it with my system, right? After connect, this is a kind of physical layer because I connected my phone with my laptop. There is no use of internet, right? If there is no use of internet, this is a kind of physical layer. Just give me a second. This is a kind of physical layer first. Physical layer. After that getting of the physical layer, I have one thing. I got a physical layer because I don't need any kind of internet, but still my things are getting transmitted from one end to another end. That is what physical layer is. After that, after that comes the data link. I have transmitted data, but I now want my system to have a particular connectivity. What I'll do is I'll have a Ethernet connection then. Ethernet connection, or you can say a Wi-Fi connection. Ethernet connection or Wi-Fi, or a kind of connection with the help of switch or bridge or router, right? Any kind of Ethernet connection, bridge, or you can say switch connection, any kind of connection I got, and I now have a MAC address as well. MAC address is already a kind of address which is already available to each and every system. But when I got a Ethernet connection, it will now show that Ethernet, the bridge is having this MAC address, and this is connected to that particular MAC address. Like my system have any particular, let's just take an example. My system have its MAC address, it's already my system. When when I connected it, when I connected it to the a bridge or something, it will also have its own MAC address, because it is also a physical, you can say, physical or data link, physical or data link connection. Then it means my system is now connected to the second layer, that is, it is having its physical addressing, it is having its MAC address, it is having a bridge connection or switch connection as well. That means connectivity to internet. Then moving on further, after the second layer, my now I want to my data to be transmitted. So what I'll do, I'll determine a path from particular thing. I'll determine a path. What I'll do is determine a path, determine a path for my system after connecting to the internet. Now if I am into the internet, guys, there is one thing specific, that I'll have a logic address, logical address, logical address, and logical address is also known as IP address. And when I have the IP address, my IP address could be used to transmit data over the internet, because it's just a basic knowledge that when we are transmitting data, there is IP address, that this IP address is sending this kind of data, and this thing needs to be taken care of, because they need this particular thing. That's how the network layer works. And then it connects, and then the transport layer connects, creates a connection. After this, transport layer creates a connection. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah, creates a connection to transmit data, right? And that's how transport layer works. After that transport layer, a session will be created on that particular place where you are transmitting data. Session would be created, and session is what? Login and logout phase. Till the time you didn't log out, till the time you didn't logged out, your session will be opened and your session is created. When at the time you logged out, when you log out, this your session will be deleted, and that is it for the session. And after that session, you will be able to see a presentation of that particular layer where your data is encrypted in a form no one is able to crack that encryption, and a safety is created. That's what the task of the presentation layer is. And after that presentation layer, you will have a session application layer, which will show you the main application or web app. Just give me a second, guys. Which will show you an application or the website or a web app which you are working on, or where you are transmitting or transferring your data. And that's how the loop of the OSI model keeps on working. And I hope it is clear now, and you guys have got a hold that what and how the OSI model looks like and is working on which 7 layers of particular model. I hope it is clear now. Moving on further, we have is TCP IP model. TCP IP model is just similar. There is only 4 layers in the TCP IP model, nothing else, because the application layer, session layer, and the presentation layer is combined together. and created one layer, that is application layer, in the TCP/IP model. Nothing is different, everything works similar, but the TCP/IP model basically uses, or you can say the TCP/IP model uses three-way handshake. Acknowledgement, firstly it will acknowledge the user that the yes, the handshake is built and the data is going to be transmitted. Then acknowledgement and syncing of the data is done. After acknowledging the user, the syncing of the data is done, and then again the acknowledgement takes place that the yes, the data is transmitted successfully to the user. And that's how TCP/IP model basically work, and that is the three-way handshake in a easier and simpler words. Now what is TCP? TCP stands for transmission control protocol, right? And sorry, yeah. And what is IP? IP stands for internet protocol, right? TCP stands for transmission control protocol and IP stands for internet protocol. And this is a suite, guys. Suite means a combination or collection of communication protocols, of communication protocol protocol which is used for communicating or connecting devices on the internet, for communicating and connecting devices over the over the internet, right? This is what basically the TCP IP is. The task of the TCP IP is to connect the devices over all the internet, over all the networks, and that's how it works. And TCP IP basically provides reliable and secure communication. What does it provide? Let me write down here. It provides, number one, it provides reliable and secure communication. Reliable and secure communication. Moving on further, uh, it also provides us the connectivity. It also provides us the connectivity. As I stated, it gives it is used for communication and connection of the devices over the internet. Moving on further, we have is the third point, that is, it is the foundation of internet. It is what? It is the foundation of internet, because it enables devices to communicate, as I stated, an exchange of data. So that's it for the TCP IP as well, guys. I hope you guys have understood all the networking basics that we have covered and we have discussed in this particular video. What is DNS, what is HTTP, and moving on further, we discussed about the OSI model, and then we discussed about the TCP IP, that is transmission control protocol, and internet protocol, which is a kind of suite or a collection of communication protocol used for connecting devices over the internet. I hope it is pretty clear, guys, and you guys have got a hold about it. And I have also mentioned the Linux commands, the basic commands that each and every cybersecurity beginner should know and have a hold about it. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope to see you in the next video. If you like the video, please do subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and also share it with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get a benefit of it. And do not forget to re-revise things again and again. So till the time I come up with a new video, bye bye, guys, and see you soon in the upcoming video. Take care.